Friends, how are you doing? Tanj here, personal fulfillment enthusiast, waking up every day to connect to you, give you access to causing breakthroughs in areas where you feel stuck, where you feel oscillating. Nick is in the house, Sean is in the house. Good morning, my friends. Great to have you here. How has your week been? Give me Jacinta, good morning. How are you doing, my love? Fiona Knight's in the house. Great to have you here. How has your week been? And just type in one word to describe how you're feeling right in this moment. Melissa, good morning to you. Great to have you here as well. So this is Rapid Fire Friday, where I come on and share key themes from my one-on-one coaching sessions for the week. And today I'm going to share one particular story that is just really moving and just for me illustrates the power of how our thoughts, beliefs, opinions, judgments, assessments influence our reality and even influence other people's behavior. So if you are interested in that kind of subject, then stick around. Great week and feeling quite blessed. Oh, there's so much, I'm too blessed to be stressed is a beautiful quote I saw in a t-shirt on this lovely lady in my last trip to Bali. Good morning, Greg. I'm too blessed to be stressed. And it's a really good reminder, Nick, actually. If you are watching this feeling anxious, worried and stressed, one of the biggest ways to shift your reality is to have an attitude of gratitude, for that will elevate your altitude. I've said it many times on here before, and I'll keep saying it again. Elevate your attitude by focusing on all the things that there are in your life that you can be deeply grateful for. And it can be as simple as your toothbrush, fresh running water, clean air, a peaceful environment, that there's no bombs going off, the health that you have, the family you have, the clothes on your back, the roof over your head, so much more. So yeah, there's an absolute lot to be grateful for. All right, let's get stuck straight into it. How are you doing this morning, Greg? Lots happening. Yes, there is a lot happening. All right, so this is a great story. So one of my clients, she is a really successful buyer's agent. She's in self-isolation with her husband as well. He runs his own business. She runs her own business, and they have 3 kids. So you can imagine being at home, running 2 businesses and homeschooling is a stretch, right? So in our coaching session this week, we were talking about, some strategies and what it takes to really stay centered, stay purposeful and productive when you're being pulled in many and varied different directions. And so she was talking about her mother-in-law being close to home and how she has no other commitments. Her husband, unfortunately, has passed and she doesn't work. She's not part of any other group. And in self-isolation, my client was saying, oh, wow, it'd just be so great if she just came over and lent a hand. And I said, yeah, like it would, right? Absolutely. And I said, well, why doesn't she? And, with all love and respect to my client, she had some pretty amazing insights into her perception and how her perception was potentially really influencing how her family member was engaging and even helping and participating. So let's listen to this story and see. And I'd like you to think about how perhaps what I'm sharing can relate to a relationship that you have with someone in your life, someone in your business, someone at work, someone you're in a relationship with, like an intimate relationship with. Good morning, George. Because what I will absolutely say, and I'm a geek about this stuff, consider that our thoughts, opinions, judgments, and assessments absolutely do influence the way we perceive people, the energy we bring to situations, and even our ability to be able to produce results. Oh, I think I'm cutting my head off on Facebook, sorry. So we were talking about her mother-in-law and how she really isn't she doesn't really come forward and offer help or offer advice. And if her and her husband ask for advice, it's the response that they typically get is, oh, I suppose so, if I have to, how long for? And so if you listen to that response, it's really not an enthusiastic, I'd love to response. And so my client and her husband's experience is, she just doesn't help. She's not interested. And they bring a whole lot of judgment to the situation. So first of all, please know that any decision that you make about yourself, others, or the world absolutely influences the way you see and perceive it. Does that make sense to you? If that makes sense, can you type in "makes sense," "I get it," or "what are you talking about, Tanj? I don't understand." Consider that often in relationships, in situations, in conversations with people, we're not actually really good listeners, and we're not really bringing our full, open selves to the situation. Jacinta's like, "I get it. Yeah, listen up." It's a really, really interesting distinction. What we bring to situations. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Marie. Oh, I miss you, honey. Oh, God, we need to have a chat. What we bring to the situation is our point of view, our defense mechanism, our judgments, our opinions, our assessments, our perceptions, and all of that is in between you and I. And then we want to try and produce a result. So the result that my client wanted was, she really wanted for her mother-in-law to be energetically and enthusiastically, or just even like making some effort to connect and help. And she really wanted to ask for help. And I said, "Well, how much help do you need?" And she said, "Well, I think I need about 3 to 4 hours a week, 3 days a week." And I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, "Yeah, but she's lazy and she doesn't really make an effort, and my kids love being with her, but when she's here, she just kind of is here. She doesn't help. She doesn't cook. She doesn't help out. She's not like that type of person." I said, "Okay." So the first piece of coaching I gave to my client was, look, the first thing is, your mother-in-law, she's already had 2 kids. They're grown adults now. She's done her time. She's done her work. It's you and your husband that are expecting her to go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to help you." And that is an expectation. That's not an expectation that she's necessarily agreed to. Good morning, Emily. Does that make sense? And can you think of anyone in your life that you may be upset with, you may be frustrated with, because you have expectations that they're going to show up a certain way, they're going to help you a certain way, because you believe they should. Is it nice if they did? For sure. I would have loved some family help raising my 2 girls, but it didn't have any, really. Not a lot. Occasional babysitting, but not what, a young family needs a lot of the time. Expectations, yes. Thank you, Luke. So there's 3 causes for upset, by the way. Let me just inject this into this story. And if you have a pen and paper, please write this down, because this is going to give you a doorway to effectively navigate emotion that gets in the way of your effectiveness. The 3 causes of upset is, number 1, unmet expectations. You expect someone to do something for you, or a situation to occur a certain way, or a particular result, and it doesn't happen. That's going to make you upset. Whether it's a financial results of the scales after you've been training or exercising or following a certain nutrition plan for a period of time, expectations of your partner to make you feel loved, nurtured, sexy, wanted, desired, whatever it is. We have unmet expectations that happen all the time that make us feel upset. The second cause of upset is withheld communication. I think I even mentioned this last week. When things happen to us, people say things, people do things, there's misalignment, we upset each other. And if you don't express how you feel, if you don't get it off your chest, if you don't communicate your point of view and you suppress all of that, you bet you're going to be upset. And I truly believe energetically, when we suppress emotion, it actually can cause depression. Depression is just suppressing things over time. And that's why I'm such a geek about communication too, and vulnerable, courageous communication that speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Too many people bottle up their emotions. They've got expectations that they didn't communicate or get agreement upon, and then they're the ones shitty and annoyed at other people. Emily, it is because of our expectation of someone else come from what we want, what we think they are capable of. Oh, yes, Emily, do me a favor. And Melissa, welcome back. Oh my God, you're already onto it. God, I love you ladies. Can you just be my regular scribers? That would be so helpful. It's such a great service to everybody else. If you hear a lesson, you hear a distinction, you hear something, you're like, "Ooh, just smash it out." That would be great. And anyone, what you hear. By the way, when you do type in a response, or a lesson that you're getting or a phrase that you like the sound of, you have a kinesthetic relationship with the information, which means you elevate your ability to embody what you're learning. So it's like when I read a book like this, I actually am reading this book. I'm studying it, as you can see. So I'm highlighting what I dig, because I may use it in my work. And I'm also listening to the audiobook at the same time. So from a learning perspective, I'm getting it on multi-levels. So the first cause of upset is unmet expectations. We honestly have expectations of ourselves, others, and the world that we haven't communicated, we haven't expressed, and we certainly haven't gained agreement from or for. Hey, evil eye beads. Oh, okay, evil eye beads. Look out. That was a question above. Okay, let me answer that. Emily, is it because even friends can fall into that category too? 100%, Emily, absolutely. And if anyone on Instagram wants to describe, that would be helpful. Is it because our expectations of someone else come from what we want, what we think they're capable of, or based on past experience? Emily, my answer to that is all of the above. We have expectations because we want something. If you're in a relationship, in my marriage, I wanted to feel loved and adored and cherished, especially when we went out in public. I wanted to feel special, not because I didn't feel special myself, but there's something yummy about that. And, I have greater public displays of affection than my partner did. And so, I would get annoyed or upset, and that, it's not because I was deeply insecure. It was fun. It's fun for me. So that's one example. I have expectations of how I think the house should look and the standards of cleanliness, which is a high standard compared to other members of my family. And so if I don't have agreement from my kids to meet certain standards and then standards aren't met, who's the one upset? It's me. So there's a beautiful saying in NLP that says, the meaning of your communication is the response that you get. So if you want to be a more effective communicator, and that's really the essence of today, when I get back to my story of the mother-in-law, which is such a ripper story, the meaning of your communication is the response that you get. So if you're asking people in your business, in your work, in your life, in your household to do stuff and it's not getting done, rather than blame and shame and point the finger, consider that your communication is ineffective. You haven't clearly articulated it, or you haven't gained agreement that that party is going to meet you on the same page and fulfill what it is you're requesting, or, negotiate a different action. Withheld communication. Yes. Good morning, Guy from New Zealand. Rather than being upset about not getting the help I needed at the time, I created my own business. In hindsight, I now realize my loved ones were just playing. Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay. That's a big one. The role I needed them to, so I could come to this point. Beautiful. Oh, nice perception here. I love it. Guy, the meaning of your communication is the response that you get. Yes, it is. Okay, so the third cause of upset, by the way, I'm loving your interaction because, as I said, it deepens the lesson. Hey, Calmstar, great to have you here as always. Did that help, Emily? Yeah, it is your desire. It is your want. It is your influence from the past. Your expectations of my dad was like this. My mom was like this. My ex-girlfriend was like this. So my teacher was like this. So then you should be too. That's a big call, right? We're projecting our desires of how others should be based on our opinions of how others should be. When we accept them as they are, which is the alchemy I'm going to get to today, magic happens. So the third cause for upset is interrupted intention, where something outside of our control interrupts our intentions of fulfilling things. And Corona Loco is a perfect example of a massive interruption that is occurring for all of us. Something outside of our control is interrupting our ability to connect, to engage in public events, to host public events, to run our business, to sing to our audience, So 3 causes of upset, the 3 reasons you and I get triggered, upset, angry, explosive, teary, is our expectations are not being met. But let me ask you, have you clearly made requests? Have you clearly communicated them? And have you got agreement from the person you're expecting the result from? Or have you set expectations for yourself that are a bit unachievable? And that's where I would invite you to apply the SMART formula, which is an NLP formula of simple, measurable, accountable, realistic, timely, go through that filter before you actually commit to doing something, because too many of us set ourselves up for failure because we overpromise and underdeliver. We put too much pressure on ourselves of what we're going to get done in our to-do list for the day, and then we don't fulfill it. And rather than celebrating what we did fulfill, we actually beat ourselves up with the guilt stick rather than wave the wand of, what we didn't complete. Who else does that? Have you ever done that? Focused on what you actually haven't achieved rather than what you have. So they're the three causes of upset: unmet expectations, withheld communication, not getting your point of view across, not unpacking your feelings, not expressing your upset, desires, hurt, pain, sorrow, not being heard. And that all sits. And I can tell you, I have done healings, energetic clearings and healings for hundreds of people over the last 20 years, something I haven't really spoken about publicly, but will be doing more and more of. And I can tell you that all the stuff that happens in your past, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, absolutely gets stored in your body. So if you have physical ailments, there's always an emotion and an energy within that. And I have the privilege of working with people every single week to eliminate the unexpressed parts of ours, the pain of the past that is literally affecting the health and well-being of ourselves, to the point, anyway, there's a whole lot of other content around that coming. So and which I hope you find interesting. Good morning, Robin. How are you doing? Okay, so back to my client and the mother-in-law. She was upset, and so was her husband, who's the son of the mother-in-law. She was upset that the mother-in-law wasn't proactive. She knows that they're busy. She knows they've got 3 kids. She knows it's Corona Loco. Why isn't she coming to help? So you are the result of your experience, Guy. Yes, you are. Boom shakalaka. So here's the coaching I gave her. I said, first of all, my love, and she's such a beautiful soul and she's so coachable. She really is willing to take a look in the subconscious mind. I said, my first invitation to you is you've got to get back to nothing. And what that means is you really need to get responsible, consider for your opinions, judgments, assessments of your mother-in-law. Because you don't if you want to create a result and you're bringing all that judgment to the space, energetically, she's going to feel it. And this can happen in sales, this happens in leadership, this happens in parenting, this happens in partnering. Listen for yourself. If you've got clunky engagement or clunky relationships with others, I invite you to take a look behind the scenes, under the hood of your subconscious mind, and ask yourself, what are my beliefs, my judgments, my opinions, and my assessments of that person? And know that that isn't in the background. That is right there in front of you, and it's energetically between you and them. Does this make sense? If it makes sense so far, please let me know. If you're wanting to ask any questions on it, please ask away, because this is such powerful, powerful distinction that'll give you access to being masterful in producing results in your life and influencing others, but without manipulation. So I said, first of all, can you see you've got a whole lot of funk in your trunk about your mother-in-law? She's like, yep, absolutely. And she had also started to reach out to her mother-in-law and ask if she was okay and how she was going, so building a deeper connection. So there was some work already happening. I said, great. I said, can you also see that you've got your husband's opinions, judgment, assessments in that space too? You've adopted his story. So Emily, that answers your questions as well. We are influenced by our environment and the beliefs and judgments from others. You've heard it before. We adopt our parents' beliefs about money. If they say money doesn't grow on trees and all of that sort of stuff, then that's what we're likely to believe or not. Melissa says, listen to what is going on with your thoughts and energy when communicating with others. Yes, and even before you're in communication, in commune with others, notice what is the energy you're bringing to the space. So I said to my client, you've got your opinions, you've got your husband's opinions, and then you've got your judgments, and you're trying to create a different behavior over there with your mother-in-law. She said, yeah, wow, absolutely. I said, well, can you give all that up? Can you let it go so there's just this amazing blank space? And she goes, yeah, I actually can. I said, and that's going to be a new practice, but that's the practice, to come from a space of nothing. Just come from nothing. And inside of nothing, you can generate a whole new possibility. And I said to her, are you also willing to make the request of your mother-in-law, but not have an expectation that if she, in either the language or body language that she uses, and if it's like, I suppose so, if I have to, how long will it be for? That is not the vocabulary of an empowered, enthusiastic woman that is keen to babysit her grandkids. She doesn't want to. And if you can't hear that and accept it and surrender to it, she's done her time, then like that's your problem. Find another resource. I know that's a bit of tough love, but that's what it takes sometimes. So she took all of our judgment, opinions, assessments out of the way and that of her husband's. And I said, okay, can you make the request from a really clean space, knowing that whatever answer you get, you can really lovingly accept. If she doesn't want to do it, don't make her wrong for it. She goes, yeah, absolutely. So her homework was to ring and be in communication with her mother-in-law. When she rang, her mother-in-law had communicated that I think an uncle in the family had just passed away. So, of course, my client wasn't going to go and make that request. My client just was there for her. She had already eliminated all of her funk in her trunk, and she was so over there with the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law could feel it. Energetically, she could feel the connection. She could feel the love. And lo and behold, I get a text the next day. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Mother-in-law came over and volunteered to help with the kids. She even cooked dinner. And then a few hours later, I get another text. And I forgot to tell you, she folded the washing. Now, in some cases, this sounds like a really simple share. But let me just demonstrate that this was a woman who never did that. And that was the desire of my client. And that was the intention she had. She didn't even make the request. But when she cleared all the stuff that was in the space between her and her mother-in-law, hey, Lance, and when she created the possibility of just connection and surrendering to what her mother-in-law's truth was, that space created an opportunity for her mother-in-law to feel into the generosity of her heart and take the action inspired from herself, which blew my client and her husband away, and probably the kids too, because they love her. So I want to hear from you. What are you hearing inside of this share? What are you hearing about the power of how our thoughts, opinions, judgments, beliefs, and assessments influence the way we engage with others and even the results that we produce? What do you hear? And did that make sense? Please remember that it is not necessarily what you do that matters. It is not necessarily what you do that produces the results that you have. It certainly has an impact and a relevance, but the biggest cause for the results that you have or don't have in your life is who you're being. And who you're being is 100% influenced by the thoughts, opinions, beliefs, judgments, assessments that you have in here. And the love and connection and compassion, or the pain and the resentment and the fear. There are two frequencies we can be on. One is fear, one is love. And if we're going to produce any long-lasting great results in our life, we need to shift from fear to love. And an access to shift from fear to love is forgiveness, is compassion, is gratitude, is letting go. We need to let go to let flow. So in your relationships, at home, at work, in your family, in your life, if you have tension, if you have friction, if you have discomfort with anyone, rather than point the finger at what's wrong with them and what they did, and I'm not excluding anything that they did. However, I'm working with clients who were even sexually abused by their own parents, who are getting to a place of forgiveness, who are unleashing their creative genius, who look 10 years younger and are in their heart eliminating fear. You know, we often put ourselves, I think, in a prison with the thoughts that we have and the beliefs that we form. And it's not only others that suffer, it's us as well. So if you're curious about how you can deepen connection and influence the results of others without manipulation, take a look at what you're thinking, what you're believing, and what you're telling yourself. Do you have any questions at all about this? Did it make sense? Do I need to articulate something a little deeper? Do you have a story that you can share? Melissa writes, be careful what you think because you are listening. One of my favorite quotes on the planet. Guy writes, the power is all in our hands to determine the outcomes in every communication. Yes, thank you. Absolutely. That's the plan. Listen to what is going on with your thoughts and energy when communicating with others. Yeah, your energy speaks before you open your mouth. Your energy influences in a room or environment that you walk into. So if you want to be a lighthouse and someone that illuminates what's possible in others, or just changes the frequency in the room to make things feel good, then just clear what's going on in your mind, heal what's going in your heart, be responsible and get the support that you need, but have a play with it and see what's possible. All inside of connection, not manipulation. So I hope you found that useful. And now what my client is experiencing is, as a result of her getting responsible, as a result of her clearing her funk in her trunk and just surrendering to whatever her mother-in-law wants, her mother-in-law can now show up in a beautiful, generous, abundant way because she's not energetically feeling the battle, the fight, the judgment. It's really powerful. So I hope you find that useful. Guy, how many times do you see someone coming towards you and think, oh no, you read them, they read you? 100%. You can do that with people. You can do that with energy. You can do that with houses and environment, right? There's a lot of things. So our energy speaks way before we even have the chance to open our mouths. So look after your energy. Use this time of self-isolation for self-transformation. If you find it difficult to sit in silence, maybe it's because the voices of the past or the stories of suffering are wanting an opportunity to be expressed and transformed so you can make space for your natural genius to arise, for your intuition to be ignited. And that's what I want for you. If you have a question that you don't want to ask publicly, but you want to reach out to me privately, then feel free to DM me or message me on Facebook, and I'd be really happy to connect with you and share more about how your thoughts, your energy, your judgments, opinions, assessments can positively or negatively influence you, others, and the world that we live in. I love you. I hope you have the most divine weekend, and I really look forward to connecting with you on Monday for Mindset Mastery Monday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I have a special announcement to make. I have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for typing, guys. Mwah.